Hello, this is Nordic Beast, and welcome to the shipyard. This will be my series for space engineers, where I showcase my ships or mods or anything generally space engineers related. So go ahead and get started here. Today we're going to look at some of the ships I've been working on. It started off with one particular fighter, which I'll show, that led to one of the capital ships that led to me designing all these. Basically for my own role-playing purposes. I have stories and such behind them. And I'm going to continue to build larger and larger ships. And more ships for basically my own universe, you could say. So I'm going to go ahead and start with this one here. This is the F13, also known as the Dart. It's supposed to be an older fighter. Just a general space superiority fighter. But this one is actually for an aggressor squadron, which is VFC-1. Because pretty much you wouldn't see it in service anymore. You would see it in the hands of raiders or pirates, rebels, things along those lines, which is this variant here. So the only difference is there's no letter mods on it and a different paint job, because it is, for all intents and purposes, the same fighter. So actually I can go ahead and give this a try here. I think, yeah, I need to adjust this. Originally did have the azimuth guns on it, but decided I like these a little bit better. As you see, it's only got the 2 Gatling cannons and the 1 rocket launcher. But that's really all you need for a general purpose fighter. Alright. Now, it doesn't stack up to some of the higher end super fighters you see people make, but this thing is so easy to build. My original variant I made in a survival server when servers first came out. Excuse me. It didn't have all the mods, of course, but even with everything you have on here, or excuse me, even if you had all the supplies you needed, you could weld this entire thing in less than half an hour on basic settings. If you have a welding ship and all the material, you could probably build this in about 5 minutes on a like on 5 or 10 times welding or grinding speed. So, and that is the Dart. Next up here I have the F13 Valkyrie. The ship I originally made for a fighter battle I had with another YouTuber named Dracul, and I enjoyed the fighter so much I decided to make a survival ready version. The original model had an actual reactor on the inside. This variant has 3 batteries, which on full power with the Sage engines, you get about 24 minutes worth of thrust, which honestly is not very much. As you see, everything else is all azimuth. I have the 2 rocket pods, and I have 4 of the azimuth Gatling cannons. The only issue with where everything is mounted is with the cannons. If you're at full speed and you point your nose down, you can hit the underbelly. So I added a little bit of heavy armor under there just to help protect against that. But it's maneuverable enough that you can avoid that if you want. Just going to go ahead and hop in here. As you see, the engines are currently off, but I still have some azimuth thrusters here to help out. This thing accelerates extremely fast. In fact, go ahead and stop. And as you see, and I'm at full speed. So about 3.5 seconds or so. Now the thing is this ship, it does drift a bit because of the lack of horizontal and vertical thrusters. But if you turn using the Sage engines, you can actually get quite a tight turning radius while accelerating. Now there is also a 3rd gyro in this ship that I can turn on or off depending. Now it's on, and as you see you can turn much tighter, but it's harder to get the finesse you need for accurate shooting. So when you want to shoot, you just go ahead and shut it off, and it's much more delicate now. Alright, go ahead and pull this in and continue on to my next ship. And at the end, I will I'll also explain why this ship led to others, and so on and so forth. This was the first ship here that I actually built to the standards that you see everything at. Everything else was pretty much was lacking mods or... Oh, there we go. Alright. Now this is the reconnaissance variant of the Valkyrie. There are no guns, no rocket launchers, basically no defensive weapons of any sorts. I removed the rear azimuth thrusters and some of the wingtip ones, mostly for saving weight. I've also added a lot of cameras, as you can see here. One on each side, one in the belly, one on the top, one on the nose, and one in the back. And it also, as you may notice, is much bigger on the back. It has an extra battery built into it, which gets rid of its elegant lines, but it also gives it an extra 10 or so minutes of thrust at full power. The general idea of this ship is, think of it as an SR-71. So fast that nothing can catch it or hit it. And when it has its antenna on, whoever it's doing reconnaissance for can connect with it and look through its cameras. It is basically the general idea behind this ship. It is actually a little bit lighter than the standard Valkyrie. So its overall performance is pretty much the same. It pretty much equals out. Now last here we have the T3 Greyhound. The general idea behind this ship was something along the lines of the Huey. As you see, this one is armed. It has these small merge blocks here. You can pretty much arm it with whatever you want. And all variants have the Gatling turret on top, which you can access from the inside. Let's see. Go through the back door here. Originally, the ship had a ramp, but once you reach maximum speed, it would start to fluctuate and move like the whole ship. The ramp would stay up. And it also caused dinging and bending, which was becoming an issue. So as you see, again, we have 10 seats here, plus this cockpit here. I have to adjust this. To access the Gatling turret. Essentially, it would be your crew chief that would be back here. Now, this ship is actually surprisingly fast and nimble for a ship of its weight and size. Unlock it here. Now, it's not as good as the fighters, obviously, but again, for an attack ship, or an attack transport for that matter, it's actually not so bad. Now, I haven't set it up to where you can release the rockets yet, but eventually I will. And like you said, you can add whatever you want. You could put on reloadable rockets or Gatling guns or even more turrets if you so choose. And I will eventually make a variant where it replaces the seats with more batteries, so it can actually recharge ships as like a refueling ship. And so that is the Greyhound. Next is the Raven. Excuse me. Now the reason I designed and built the Raven was because of the Valkyrie. I needed a light carrier, so this generally, the designation for it is actually for a escort carrier. Now originally I just had a straight through landing bay, but because of all the ships being in a row, you couldn't get through. So I made an asymmetrical internal design, which actually gave me more room for more fighters. Now, fully equipped with 7 Valkyries, you would have trouble. But if you had a full crew in multiplayer, it would actually be pretty easy to move everything around. The crew section is on this side. The bridge is on this side. For time purposes, I'm not going to give full tours of the ship. And then back here, I actually have an engineering area with a small hangar bay here on the side, which would usually carry a small welding ship, which would just dock right in here. You see we have our encased gyroscopes and our large reactor, and 4 Gatling turrets. It's just enough to defend a ship of this size. Really, its main offensive power is the fighters. So to go with it is my Hurricane class destroyer. I originally designed this back when they first came out with rockets, or the rocket pods, the large ones, which recently were nerfed, but even with the reduced range, this ship still is quite a force. Oh, there's a door glitch. I'm not sure what's going on with that. So come in here and give this a quick flight. Now for a ship of its size, it's actually quite maneuverable. It has good acceleration too. And as you see, it has quite a bit of firepower with these 4 rocket pods. Now the original design of this actually had heavy armor and rocket turrets to go with it, but had very little defense against fighters. I like the overall design. I ended up making it in survival, and then I liked the, well, I built it in a light armored variant, and I liked the light armored variant so much more because of the higher acceleration and maneuverability. I ended up putting it in creative and modifying it to what you see now. So overall, I really enjoyed this ship's performance. Go ahead and pull on right here. Oop, there we go. Ah. Okay, what's going on? There we go. My dampeners are off. Come on. There we go. So that is my fleet I have been working on. I have a few other ships that are in the works, a couple of small, a few large. I'll probably be showcasing those in later episodes. Like I said, along with mods and other things I happen to record for Space Engineers. So thank you so much for watching. Please leave a comment down below. Have a good one.